Good evening and welcome to Talking Sports with Evan. I'm Evan with Allison. And after a week off last week while I was on vacation, I am back with a new episode of Talking Sports with Evan. You can find the Talking Sports with Evan podcast anywhere you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify. You can go to Substack, sportsthoughtsfromevan.com, or you can always watch the live video every week either on X at Evan with sports. You see it at the bottom corner of the screen, and then the top of the screen, or on YouTube and Facebook. Talking sports with Evan, and made the announcement on X earlier today. But starting September 1st, which is also the beginning of the NFL season, there will be more Talking Sports with Evan every week, as I'm planning on doing 3 shows a week. Tuesdays will be Packers and NFL focused, talking about the Packers' most recent game, recapping that, talking about other NFL news from that week that just happened. Wednesdays would be more of my Brewers and Bucks and other sports conversations, and could include some Packer and NFL news if things were to break during the day Wednesday. And then Thursday will be a Packer preview and a Packer preview and a NFL preview. So starting that week, I will have 3 shows a week. So the September week of September 1st, that Tuesday show will be a Packer preview for the 2025 NFL season, and I'm going to give my predictions for the NFL season of 2025, division winners, MVP predictions, things like that. And Thursday's show will be previewing the Packers Week 1 action against the Detroit Lions. So that is what's going to happen moving forward with Talking Sports with Evan. The live video, as always, YouTube and Facebook, Talking Sports with Evan, and on X, Evan with Sports, which you can find both at the top of the screen and bottom of the screen as well. But a big thank you very much for everyone that has been tuning in to the podcast, either via audio form on Sports Thoughts from Evan, or on Apple or Spotify, or watching the live videos on Facebook, YouTube, and X. I appreciate you all. Today's show, going to talk a little Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee Brewers, first team to win 70 games on the year. Going to give my thoughts on some Milwaukee Brewer conversations and answer some questions that need to be answered, such as, does Isaac Collins deserve NL Rookie of the Year? Going to talk some NFL training camp, more specifically Green Bay Packers, and talk about the first preseason game for the Packers coming up on Saturday, and talk about, does it matter if starters play or not? And then finally, WWE. They just finished a partnership with ESPN that's starting in 2026. All premium live events will air on ESPN streaming service and whatnot. So I'm going to give up my reaction on that and the return of Brock Lesnar. So with that said, not sure where to start. I think I'm going to start with the Milwaukee Brewers. And as I said, they are the first team to 70 wins this season. They have the best record in baseball by 3 games. They have a 4-game lead over the Chicago Cubs. And they are surprising a lot of people right now with the way they are playing baseball at this particular moment. And it is an important question. Are the Brewers the best team in baseball right now? And they have the best run differential. They have the best record. They are one of the top teams against left-handed hitting in baseball this year. I honestly think the way the Brewers are constructed, and it's not just me being a homer, yes, I think they are truly one of the best teams in baseball, and we're seeing it. They swept the Phillies. They swept the Dodgers. They took 2 of 3 from the Cubs recently. It doesn't matter if they're a good team. It doesn't matter if they're a bad team. The Brewers are handling their business, and I think it's fair to say that Pat Murphy deserves Manager of the Year conversation again. He got it last year. I definitely think he should be in conversation for NL Manager of the Year once again. But this is a really good Brewer team. They're near the top in baseball and batting average, in hits and runs scored. They have the best run differential. The one thing they're lacking though is they don't hit a lot of home runs. They don't hit it for power a ton. And the last team to have as few of home runs and some of the offensive stats that they currently have with the OPS and the home runs was the San Francisco Giants the last time they were in the World Series. And I think it's fitting comparison because that Giants team, I think it was the 2014 Giants, 2015, somewhere around those lines. Those Giants teams were led by dominant pitching, timely hitting, and a bullpen that was hard to score off of. And the Brewers have all three. They have a great starting rotation. You have Freddie Peralta with 13 wins, leading the major leagues. Quentin Priester has won 10 games in a row. You have Brandon Woodruff, who's back after sitting out all last year in the first half of this year. He's off to a great start on his return to the Brewers rotation. Jose Quintana has been just good enough to help the Brewers get wins. And Jacob Mizorowski has been dominant, and not to mention the Logan Henderson has pitched well, and they have other pitchers in the minor leagues that can probably start for almost every team in Major League Baseball right now. They also have a bullpen in Nick Mears and Abner Uribe and Trevor McGill. For your back half, you have Jared Koenig, who is pretty good going up against the lefties. You have DL Hall and Aaron Ashby to give you some length out of the bullpen. And you're also going to have Shelby Miller, who they got from Arizona, that is going to definitely help the bullpen too. And I don't know who the odd man out is going to be. I know they optioned McGee to AAA, likely going to be bringing Miller up to the big league roster tomorrow, more than likely, after a really good rehab assignment in Nashville. But the Brewers pitching staff, from starters to bullpen, is built to get through the postseason. But it doesn't matter if you can't get timely hits, and that is something the Brewers is able to do right now. Bryce Terang's bat has gotten hot again. So Frelick's bat's been hot all season long. Christian Yelich has been on a tear. And let's not forget Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn they got for Aaron Savelli in a trade with the Chicago White Sox. And Andrew Vaughn has just been a godsend since he got here. He is batting in the 370s, has hit a bunch of home runs, a bunch of big RBIs, a bunch of big hits. And it's been very impressive with what Andrew Vaughn has done. And not to mention a topic of conversation coming up with Isaac Collins and Blake Perkins coming off the IL has been pretty good. And with Jackson Chiriot the next couple of weeks due to come off the IL, the Brewers have a very good problem to have in the outfield. And then with Rhys Hoskins coming off the IL in a couple of weeks as well, they got a pretty good problem to have over at first base too. But I'm confident about this Brewer team. And my tune has changed. A month or two ago, May, mid-June, when the Brewers started really turning it around, my position was, you're not going to be a World Series team. Stand pat at the trade deadline and just let the guys who you have, just let them grow and develop and play through the season. My tune has changed. I wanted them to try to go for a home run at the deadline. They didn't hit a home run, but they did a couple things like getting Miller in the bullpen, and they got Nestor sent to San Diego and got some more depth in the outfield right now in Lockridge, who has a lot of speed off the bench. But my tune has changed, seeing how they swept the Dodgers. They've swept the Phillies. They destroyed the Nationals. They destroyed the Cubs in 2 or 3 games. They swept the Braves. They just went 6-0 on their road trip for the first time since I think 2015, 2016, something like that. And I am really starting to become a big believer in this Brewer team. With that said, they do have to stay healthy because they are a injury or two away from having Owen Miller having to play serious innings on this Brewer team, and we saw how that went through the first month of the year before Caleb Durbin finally got caught up. And it took Caleb Durbin a while to really figure it out at the plate. But I'm very happy with this Brewer team that we're seeing right now. Isaac Collins, sticking to the Brewers. Again, this is Talking Sports with Evan. I'm Evan Witallison, and it's time to talk Isaac Collins. He is in his official rookie year, and he's currently batting .292 on the year. And sorry, my computer's being slow. He's batting .292 with a .392 on base, .436 slugging, .828 OPS, and a .135 OPS plus. And Isaac Collins was a guy that got a roster spot out of spring training because Blake Perkins fractured his shin. And Isaac Collins have had to play more in the outfield because Garrett Mitchell re-injured his shoulder. Anyway, I know he got hurt with a different injury before the shoulder that he aggravated in Nashville. But the point I'm trying to make is Isaac Collins got the opportunity to basically be an everyday player because of some injuries to other players, and he's making the most out of his opportunities to the point that I think it's fair to have the conversation, is Isaac Collins your rookie of the year? And I don't see why you don't put him in the rookie of the year category looking at what he has done this season. I just gave his stat line. He also has 7 home runs, 37 RBIs, 2 triples, 12 doubles, 75 hits, 39 walks. He just gets on base. He just finds ways to get on base, and he is one of the more clutch hitters of the season. And you look at his advanced numbers, he only strikes out about 22.1%, 12.9% of the time he walks. His batting average on balls in play is at 370. His batting runs as computed for WAR, he's at 143. His ROBA, measure of players' offensive contribution, weighted in proportion to each event's actual run value, he's 379. If you go to advanced analytics, he is continuing to play really well too. And it looks like it's sustainable. It definitely, at this point, looks sustainable. If you look at his percentage, percentile rankings on his Savient account. And I don't see any reason why you can't put Isaac Collins in for NL Rookie of the Year based off what he has done this season. So I definitely think Isaac Collins should be Rookie of the Year. Back to Andrew Vaughn and his surprise run. I got to tip my hat to Andrew Vaughn, and I got to tip your hat to Matt Arnold and Pat Murphy with the trade of bringing him in to Milwaukee. Because in Chicago, he was so bad that his WAR is now even for the year. Because he's been so good in Milwaukee that he's gotten the WAR to even, and he has over 200 OPS plus. He's got 1,100 He's got 1,100 OPS currently. And the question is that going to be sustainable all year? No. But I think this is more who Andrew Vaughn is than what we saw in Chicago. And the big thing is, change of scenery can do a lot for you. Andrew Vaughn changes the scenery, comes to Milwaukee, and he just seems to be a lot more comfortable at the plate. And I know if you can hit, you can hit. The scenery shouldn't matter, but in baseball, it does. When you have a sport that is mostly a mental, it does matter. And Vaughn has been quite good with the bat in his hand and has been a pretty decent first baseman defensively. And if he can continue to be a 300 hitter during the course of the regular season in Milwaukee, I think the Brewers offense can carry them a good distance, if you ask me. So, moving on, Green Bay Packers. First training camp. Sorry, not training camp. First preseason game is coming up on Saturday, and the Jets are going to play their starters. It's looking like the Packers are going to play their starters as well, at least a little bit. And the conversation, the starters playing in the preseason really matter. And I personally feel, especially with some of the young guys, starting does matter. Obviously, Xavier McKinney's not going to play as he's dealing with the calf issue right now. Nate Hobbs isn't going to play as he's dealing, recovering from knee surgery. But I think you get a guy like Matthew Golden. Sorry about that. You get a guy like Matthew Golden on the field. You get Jordan Love, work on his timing with Golden. Get him on the field with Williams, one of the other young wide receivers from TCU. I don't think Jaden Reed's going to play. I don't think Dontavion Wicks is going to play due to injuries. But if you get Romeo Dobbs, Matthew Golden, Williams, Tucker Kraft, get them on the field together, get some chemistry built up between them. I think getting some reps in a actual game situation is important. The other reason why, and I think with joint practices, it's not as important as it used to be, but I think another reason to get some reps in preseason games is it gives you an opportunity to be able to hit somebody else of a different jersey. It gets you an opportunity to have somebody else, if let's say offensive line, it gets you a chance to have another jersey color lining up across from you and get you a different look, because I'm pretty certain that Zach Tom and Jordan Morgan would like to go up against somebody other than Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness or Bretton Cox or Ingambare all the time. I'm sure they'd like to go up against some other guys too. So that's what I never played at the NFL, never good enough to be an NFL caliber player, but I did play in high school, played a couple years in college, and when we had scrimmages against other teams, I like those. I really enjoy the scrimmages because, well, one, I'm going to get a lot of snaps and a lot of opportunities to try to earn my way onto the field, but two, it gives me an opportunity to showcase my skills against other competition, because again, you're going up against the same guys in practice every day, every rep pretty much. It's good to go up against somebody else sometimes, because you kind of figure out what the guy lined up across from you in practice is going to try to do in one-on-one drills, in pass pro drills, and inside drill, in 7-on-7s. You kind of get an idea what the guy across from you is looking to do to try to beat you. So when you go up against a guy from a different team, you get a challenge a little bit more. And I also like starters playing in preseason a little bit, because again, you can't duplicate game speed in a training camp practice, and by playing in the preseason games, and though you're not playing quite like you are in an NFL regular season game, you're still going at game speed to get you ready for the regular season too. And I'm not saying the starters need to play every game for a quarter or a half, but just get some reps in, get some timing down, get some comfort level in there, and then just get them out of there and let the other guys figure out who's going to make the team or not. And finally, WWE. First of all, SummerSlam was a great event. I thought SummerSlam blew WrestleMania out of the water with everything they did at SummerSlam, making it 2 nights. The matches are great. The storylines are great. I thought it was great. The one issue I had is Brock Lesnar coming back. Brock Lesnar, aside from just the controversy surrounding him, with his name being mentioned in the lawsuit against Vince McMahon, that ultimately forced Vince McMahon from WWE, forcing him to sell his remaining shares when he sold the company to TKO. Aside from that, which is sickening, being mentioned in that lawsuit, Brock Lesnar's just not that good anymore. As a competitor, he doesn't really give you anything. He gives you the same boring stick every time. He's the beast. He comes in, he F's things up, and doesn't really sell at anybody unless he likes you, and doesn't really do much in the ring itself unless he likes you. And now he's going after John Cena, which is John Cena's retirement tour. I get it. John Cena wants to face Brock Lesnar one more time before he calls it a career. Fine. But hits for the yawns all of a sudden. But I don't think bringing Brock Lesnar back was completely necessary at all. I think he could have continued the retirement tour of John Cena without Brock Lesnar involved. But now, unfortunately, he is. But I thought it was a bad move. I'm not a Brock Lesnar guy. I used to be back in his early heyday in the WWE. But his stick, as I said, has just gotten very old, overdone, and it's tiring, I guess is the best way to put it. And aside from that, his out of the ring stuff is very concerning too. And then WWE makes an exclusive deal with ESPN that now they're going to ESPN starting a new streaming service, which is going to air all premium live events. Now, my initial reaction when I first heard this was, well, I guess I'm not going to be watching PLEs anymore because I don't really want to spend $30 a month to watch SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and all that, especially when we've kind of been spoiled with the WWE Network and Peacock. We've kind of gotten spoiled a little bit. But I guess looking at it, if you have a traditional cable provider or a Hulu Live, you are still going to be able to watch the premium live events at no additional cost. So that is something to really monitor a little bit. But I'm kind of getting tired of all the streaming services. You have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have Peacock, you have Paramount, you have DirecTV streaming, you have YouTube TV, you have you name it. It seems they have a streaming service, but now we're going to have another streaming service. You get to the point that we should just go back to cable. Just go back to cable television and bring all the different offerings the streaming services have for you, put it in one service, and let's get cable back. The few years back it was all about cutting the cord. Well, let's reattach the cord because it's getting exhausting having all these different streaming services to watch all these different things you want to watch. And it's no longer cost effective as those prices are going up too. Peacock's prices are going up again. I just saw Netflix seems to bring their prices up every now and then. And it's just getting very frustrating and annoying. And like I said, we should just bring cable back. But with that said, thank you for watching. This has been Talking Sports with Evan. I appreciate you all. I'll be back at it next week. And remember, starting September 1st, some disclaimers in there, like if I have a high school football broadcast or a Packer game, times and dates might have to get flexed a little bit, but I'll be bringing you a show 3 days a week starting September 1st. Packer recap, NFL recap, general sports talk, and Packer/NFL preview Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. tentatively 8:30 Central Standard Time. And you can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, or you can watch the live video on YouTube or Facebook, Talking Sports with Evan. Like and subscribe, or on X at Evan with Sports. Make sure you like the X page. Thank you so much. I'll get back at you next week.